Spot gold falls as much as 3.8% and biggest drop in 4 years. You go to the gold chart, I think it's down even more since that post, down 5.57%. Is gold topping out? In a similar way that it topped out last cycle in 2020, this consolidation on the gold chart, if you look at it on a Bitcoin chart, this was the beginning of the Bitcoin bull run. If you look at it on an altcoin chart, this was the beginning of the altcoin bull run. Is something happening that is similar? If there was a 5% rotation from gold to Bitcoin, what would the price of Bitcoin go to this cycle? I want to discuss what that looks like. All the while, BitMine buys $250 million in Ethereum. I saw this post. Imagine if traditional asset managers, after just aping the most successful ETF launch ever for 2 years straight, that's the Bitcoin ETF, just start coming out and saying, yeah, we're done buying for the next year because we're coming up on bad part of the 4-year cycle. And I really wonder the same thing as it relates to Bitcoin. And especially if you see Bitcoin has consolidated for quite some time in this range. But I also wonder the same thing for BitMine and all of the institutions that have been buying Ethereum as we get ready to enter an era of altcoin ETF approvals, of institutional interest, while the SEC, a pro-crypto SEC, begins to unlock the innovation in the space, begins to unlock trillions, really, of capital for this space. I wonder the same thing. Are institutions just like, oh, the 4 years is up though, we missed the boat, let's throw in the towel? I'm not so sure. I want to discuss all of these things. I want to look at an Ethereum chart as well as the altcoin market cap chart. So hit the subscribe and like on the way in if you're not in our intelligence system with our risk models, our exit planners, our autonomous AI, our on-chain metrics. If you're a macro investor and have interest in knowing when is a good time to start selling when risk gets high, when is a good time to start buying when risk gets low, get into our intelligence system. We have a ton of risk models back there for a bunch of altcoins, including Bitcoin, and start planning if you're a macro investor. We have a free trial going on right now, and I would love to have you join our members. Let's start the video by just looking at gold really briefly. I mentioned, as gold is consolidating, what happens if there's a capital rotation of 5%? Well, Bitwise says a 5% capital rotation from gold to Bitcoin could send Bitcoin to $242,391. It's crazy to say that right now, right? That's a data point that Bitwise came out with, and it's happening while gold is potentially topping out. I don't know. Gold has been going crazy. We can't predict that right now, especially this week. But if you go to Bitcoin, it's weird because so much of the space is calling for a bear market. And it's odd seeing a $242,000 Bitcoin price target if there's a gold rotation to Bitcoin. But what I wanted to mention is this. And there's no guarantee there's going to be a rotation. But what if there was, right? We have the price target up here in this range for Bitcoin based off of Bitwise if it's a 5% rotation. But put that aside for a moment, right? What does just a breakout for Bitcoin into the upper 100s, $200,000 look like? What does it look like for altcoins? The thing I wanted to really mention, because I know I've been discussing kind of a gold rotation, the potential for it, I wanted to hit this point home. And that is, if you look at when gold did start consolidating last cycle, you see how it starts consolidating. If I took the fractal and I put it on the Bitcoin chart, just notice how Bitcoin at that moment also continued consolidating right here, right? You can see consolidated for like 1 to 2 months before actually making the bull move. If you go look at the altcoin market cap chart, same thing. If I kind of remove this fractal, you can see there's gold consolidating, and check it out. There's altcoin market cap consolidating even more than Bitcoin. And I just really want to point to your attention, even if gold tops out, don't automatically think altcoins and Bitcoin are just going to explode like this week, next week, as gold starts topping out. Last cycle, for instance, it took basically months for the breakout. Notice where altcoins were at that moment. Quite a a ways away from all-time high, at least the altcoin market cap chart. And this cycle around, we're hovering at all-time high. That's a very big deal, especially when we start monitoring risk. And I'm going to use Ethereum risk model to kind of demonstrate that for you. BitMine buys $250 million in Ethereum. According to on-chain data, while it's linked to blockchain infrastructure firm BitMine acquired 63,539 ETH, worth roughly 251 million amid the market drop. Why are they doing this? I posted this because I just can't stop thinking about this. BitMine just bought another $250 million in ETH. But retail and so many comments on X say the bear market's starting. Either BitMine is wrong and retail has successfully called the top of the bull market for the first time ever, or retail is wrong and ETH and altcoins go higher. And this is what I can't stop thinking about, especially when we have headlines like this. Right now, today, the Fed's Payments Innovation Conference is today. Executives from Chainlink, BlackRock, Paxos, and the list goes on, are speaking on bridging TradFi with DeFi, stablecoins, and tokenization. While we have this, crypto and AI czar David Sachs scheduled to meet tomorrow morning with Republican members of the Senate Banking Committee to stress the importance of advancing market structure out of committee this year. Both Republicans and Democratic sources I spoke with see the gatherings as positive momentum toward restarting bipartisan negotiations that have stalled in recent days. I'm covering a lot of headlines right now because I think all of these headlines, especially in the last 1, 2, 3 weeks, especially from that liquidation moment that we had, they're all gone. They're all lost. Everybody has forgotten all of these things. Everybody has forgotten how far the crypto space has come. Everybody has forgotten the fundamentals of what is going on from a business cycle as it relates and overlaps with these pro-crypto legislations that are in play right now. Everybody's forgotten. There is such high fear in these markets. And so you can see it in so many different charts. I want to bring up an Ethereum chart right now and just discuss a few things. Ethereum, just above $4,000 right now after an awesome looking throwback to the upper trend line of a multi-year structured move, the symmetrical triangle, a very normal looking move, 20-week moving average support. What I want to discuss is where we are right now. Think about this for a moment. We're above $4,000, right around $4,000. If you go to our risk model, we're at a 44 risk score. There is absolutely no doubt that this cycle, I've just nonstop been talking about it, it's different than every other cycle. It just is different. You can go to any of our risk models. You don't even have to use our risk models. Go look at an Ethereum chart, a Bitcoin chart. The growth, the higher highs, higher lows, the consolidation, the suppression, whatever you want to call it, is different than we've ever seen. But we're at a 44 risk score, which is quite low risk. And if you look at back here, for instance, you can kind of go and there's all this consolidation. You see November 2024. So this is around a year ago. You can see 43, just about the same risk score as where we are right now. Around a year ago, almost exactly the same risk score. But look at Ethereum's price, $2,600. I feel like I should do a full video on this, but that alone, that risk being just like leveled off the same exact risk score for the last year after a lot of volatility, but the price is higher. This to me, as we see headlines like this, BitMine buying 250 million Ethereum, and we see institutional interest alone in Ethereum for the last year, and we see altcoin ETFs on the horizon, this risk score to me is signaling so strongly that there has been insane, purposeful suppression in these markets for the sole purpose of accumulation and redistribution. That is what I think. I could be completely wrong, but I'm just putting out there what I think to you, and that is what I think. And I think the purpose of that suppression and the redistribution is so big money can scoop up as much Ethereum, as much Bitcoin, as much altcoins as possible before all of the pro-crypto legislation is unlocked, all of the liquidity is unlocked, institutions are unlocked, altcoin ETF approvals are unlocked. While retail right now is so convinced of a bear market, maybe there will be. I need to do a full video on that potential. But I just can't help but pay attention to this data. And the one thing I will mention to you, there's been a slow kind of change in my approach to this bull cycle, and I need to do a video on this. When you look at an Ethereum risk model, for instance, the way that we've had this swing high, months of consolidation, swing high, months of consolidation, swing high, high fear, we're in it again. But we're getting this resistance at like this 50, 60 area on the risk models. Last cycle, it just went parabolic into just gains. 2 cycles ago, parabolic into gains. I have an interest of using these risk models in a more conservative way this cycle because of the manipulation that I've seen this cycle. I have an interest on a lot of these models in the 60s, the 70s in terms of taking profit. And that's just because the way we've seen the suppression on these charts, and we've seen how a lot of these risk models have been operating. And by the way, Bitcoin is also included in that, right? In that whole like point that I'm trying to make right now, the suppression on this chart. Taking profits is kind of like an art in the crypto space, and it involves putting aside emotion. That's what these risk models, I think, are going to allow. I should say, not as we continue higher in this bull cycle, but I want to be cautious and just say, if we continue higher in this bull cycle, I really think we're going to. But these are my thoughts on Ethereum. We go to the altcoin charts. It's, again, a game of patience, I think, for altcoin holders, a game of resilience right now. It's also a game of managing your risk tolerance, right? Because as we saw, gold was consolidating, altcoin market cap also consolidated. So we might get more downside for altcoins. Let's monitor, let's see. I'll do a video probably on Ethereum and ADA maybe later today. There's a lot more I want to talk about on these charts, on these altcoins, and just monitor the altcoin space in general, waiting for some type of bullish reversal. So if you're out there, if you enjoyed this video, this content, please hit the subscribe. Hit the like if you're not in our intelligence system with our risk models. We've got a bunch back there, and I think we have another one on its way. Then get back there. Start planning. Start strategizing. We have a free trial going on right now. You can give it a shot, and if you don't like it, simply cancel before the trial is over. Appreciate all of you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.